last field trip, we ended up on a rooftop in Chicago, and this field trip, we are in
Maryville, Tennessee.
Maryville, Tennessee. I'm with Charlie Parton. Charlie, you've been a beekeeper for how long now?
45 years.
45.
Yeah.
Wow. And Parton apiaries, right?
Yep.
About how many hives you running?
I usually run in the production season, 80 to 100, somewhere in there, and I'm probably around 75 because starting into the fall, I start combining and those kind of things, so where I'm at right now.
Quite an operation, and the bees are just crazy here, huh?
We've had a good fall nectar flow. It's still on, actually. You could see over here on the hillside and then down toward near the pond there, goldenrod blooming, and they're working, bringing in pollen, and when you go in the colony, you see fresh nectar. So that's something I hope is going to help with our survival this winter, because you know, all over the United States, it was, losses were bad, 40% or more.
It's been brutal. It's been brutal.
But these colonies, as you can see, are nucleuses, and over behind you can see a few more. These are just, I keep them for repopulating colonies or queens. If they make it through the winter and still in the 3 boxes, 1st of April, when I generally can get queens, I'll split those and leave a couple of frames of brood and the queen in the bottom box. I may requeen it also. Then I'll stack boxes back and let them draw comb, get some new comb that way, feed them, and just make more bees.
Yeah. Excellent. So, and I first met Charlie, or saw Charlie speak at the Heartland Apiculture, Apiculture Society. Yeah. That's why we call it HAS, right? Yeah. And I think we figured it was probably about 5 years ago. Right. I saw you actually at a couple of lectures. One I think was on queens and requeening, and another I thought it was on running single deeps.
Probably part of my honey production, maximizing your honey production.
Yeah.
I got a talk I do on that.
And that was it.
I just kind of put that in there, that's what I've been experimenting with, and pros and cons to it. So yes, you probably heard me talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and it got me thinking, because about that time I was running all double deeps, and the issue more than anything was just it got to be weight, and I couldn't. You get into the bottom hive, and then it was just too hard to get to the bottom. So I started doing the investigation on running single deeps, and I've actually moved completely to that now. Yeah. And my honey production is just kaboom.
I mean, there's some beekeepers even in Canada are running singles, and you gotta make sure they got food, you know. But I've always said in double deeps in this part of the country, by the 1st of year, January, your bees are all in the top box anyway, because that's where the food's at.
Right.
And so the bottom one's empty, so they don't really need the 2 boxes necessarily. They just need food to maintain.
Need food. They need food. And we say, like, north, I know, one of the people I really spent a lot of time kind of not studying, but just paying attention to is Eotine Tardoff. And he's up in the Yukon. And just running single deeps and condensing hives, and I moved to that and have had a lot of success with that as well. Yeah. But in the winter here, how cold do you get?
Well, we'll get, generally, I will say probably 95% of the time, we'll get a few days that are down in the single digits, maybe hit 0 a little more. 1985. Just remember that because it's a record low. We were 25 below 0. Oh my God. Which we're not set up for 25 below 0. So I think people's water was freezing.
Oh,
never
sure.
Froze before. But that was before any of the mites. That was before tracheal mites or varroa mites. And at that time, I probably only had 4 hives.
Yeah.
I didn't even worry about them. They all made it through.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were healthier. They just didn't have all the issues that we have. So. But yeah, we get cold, but we don't stay that way. We'll have a few days where it'll be single digit lows or whatever, and then we'll bounce back. So
sure.
Then bees can take cleansing flights, and good thing.
So busy hive. So I'm dying to see your honey house.
Okay. I just, as I was saying earlier there, this double doors on the left is where I back up to unload my supers, and I've made pallets and have a hand truck that works with those pallets. Go through that door, that's the hot room. we'll show you when we go inside. And on the right-hand side is of course, a garage door to get in. This is my storage for containers and equipment of all type, whatever I need, you know. So we'll go on in and take a look.
So do you built these buildings for the?
Well, I'm a small farmer too. I run some stocker cattle.
Oh,
I've got
okay.
some steers here. They're all in the shade right now.
Yeah.
But I buy in the spring and sell them in the fall, and we'll cut a little hay and that kind of thing. And need a place to put my tractor and different things, trailers, and so that building there on the right. And then so when I decided to build a new honey house, I said, well, I'm not going to spread buildings out over the whole place, so I just set it over enough that you could walk between there, and had to use the same driveways and everything to get to it.
Yeah. How much fun to design your own house, right?
It really was. You know, there was some overkill involved, but you know, I was going to do it once in my lifetime, and God had blessed me to be able to do it, and my wife let me. So
that's probably key.
Yeah. So we'll go on in.
Okay.
So this honey house, when I built it by the state of Tennessee's regulations for honey processing, which falls under the same thing as food and dairy, the inspectors that come. So you have to have a bathroom, you have to have the sinks and hand washing sinks and all that kind of stuff. And so here on this end, the single door is a restroom. Outside entrance, I didn't put an inside entrance because the regulations made you have a little vestibule, so I didn't want to waste square footage in there.
Sure.
Plus with the garden and the cattle and everything, you know, we're down here outside anyway, so that's more accessible really.
Yeah.
So get the lights on. So this is the extracting,
This is great.
room, bottling, staging, anything to do with it from extraction throughout. We'll come back here and I'll show you the hot room. And it doubles also as a place for me to liquefy drums. So it kind of all changes. So you can see I store my uncapping tank, my uncapper in here, bring the barrels in, liquefy them, then I can roll them in and pump the honey into my storage tanks.
Sure. So how are you heating it? Or just with heaters?
Heating this room?
Yeah.
I've got central heat and air in the building.
Okay.
But this room does not have a duct. It's not duct because I didn't want the air coming in here in the summertime when I'm extracting. So I bring the honey in, you still got a thermometer over the door.
Yeah.
I'll set a dehumidifier and a small ceramic heater, and I will keep it up around 100 degrees, 95 to 100.
Okay.
So I want it really warm to be able
to
sling it out. So you can see this floor is pretty nice. This is one of the overkill things I guess I did. But so when I get ready to extract, I cover all the whole floors with paper and cardboard and tape it to the seams so we're not tripping or anything. So if anything's dropped or scooted or whatever, it doesn't damage the floor. I just roll it all up and get rid of it when I'm through.
This is beautiful. to say I'm jealous would be an understatement.
So these tanks are they're single wall. These have honey in them. This one's I think about empty in here. Just single wall. Kelly's used to make these, of course, since Mountain Lake bought them out, and they may have even started it before Mountain Lake. They don't do this sheet metal work anymore.
Okay.
So I was in that long enough ago that they were still available. So I had a couple, and when I moved into this building 12, 13 years ago, I thought, well, it'd be good to, instead of having 5-gallon buckets sitting everywhere, I can keep most of my honey in here. Plus now I have local honey in one. I've got honey from Mississippi in one, and honey that comes out of Montana. It's a clover honey. So the local honey, people that buy from me directly, or when I do craft fairs or something, I'll only do 2 or 3 a year because it's just the time involved. And to be honest with you, I don't really need to sell it. I mean, I can sell it without going to them, but I started doing it, and now they expect me to come back. And then the non-local honeys is what I sell to markets and things like that. It's marked, it's wildflower, not local. They know I tell them where it comes from. I said, it's USA honey, because I know the people that I buy it from. Personally know them, so I know it's not tainted with corn syrup or something like that. It's just, and then this, for the last 2 years here in the state of Tennessee, and it ran on all over the places in the Southeast, our production was, 30, 40%. Some people said 50% less than they made the year before, and the year before that. So, if I'm going to have the business, I've got to supplement it with a non-local honeys. This is a bottler tank, and that's a bottling tank. So I can have two. So I've got local in here, and I've got the wildflower mix in here. And it depends on what I need, So I just come down here, turn my music on, sit down on a little stool, and I bottle this up, and then I move it here to label, then box it, whatever.
And there's a satisfaction in that, isn't there? Every jar that comes out, there's a certain amount of satisfaction, especially when you pull it, and it's just, it's just crazy clear and pretty.
That's the local. It's a lighter. Mm-hmm. I was going to. Yes, back here. Let me show you this. So I've got one customer that buys this size jar. It's a resort here in Wallen.
Yeah.
5-star. You got to have reservations to get in. You can't even get in the driveway.
Yeah.
And this is their label, Blackberry Farm. There's been articles in Southern Living and all that stuff. Yeah. But anyway, they furnish the jar and the label because they want all their products to be consistent. Mm-hmm. So I put honey in it. So when I'm bottling this year 2,300 jars.
Oh, gee.
So a few years ago, I bought this bottler from Better Bee. It's a Lyson. Mm-hmm. So it's set up. I set it up. You can set it up for different sizes and change it and all. Right. But it's set up for this size jar. And you slide it under, it makes a limit, it fills it. They have a turntable you can buy and you could speed it up, but that was enough help for me. And then this is the little pump that I pump the honey out of the drums into my tanks. I'm going to advertise for somebody else. This is Hilco.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this the Hilco machine?
This is the whole thing.
Okay.
I think they buy components and put it together.
Right.
Because they've got this same motor on a lot of stuff.
Okay, because they've got a couple different bottling sizes. This is
this is Lyson. This came from Better Bee. They're the dealer for it. This came straight from Hilco. And I was actually, it was a cost thing, and this was half of any other pump I could find.
Most of my equipment is Hilco. I have to say.
And another thing I like about it, just the propeller for the pump, and both of these, it's not metal. Mm-hmm. It's like silicone or something like that. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about any pieces of bronze or whatever in these other pumps, getting out. Yeah. And no more than I do. It's serving my purpose great. So
shout out to Hilco, and hey, John, if you want to send us anything.
Yeah. I heard he moved to Tennessee.
Yeah, that's right. He did. Yeah. He did. Yeah. I saw that.
He's going to be at our state conference in 2 or 3 weeks. Our conference is in the middle of October. Just like that honey said, I've got 20 something of these little dollies. I encourage everybody, if they move much stuff around, especially the older you get. So when this stuff's bottled, it goes back on this pallet, and then label. I've got a granddaughter. She wants to make money, and I said, okay, I'll pay you for doing it, but she's a little behind now. But then they go back on it, and then I roll them here to the door to load them in the back of the truck. Yeah. Pallet. So it just takes a lot of work out of it. And this is the kitchen, break room. When we're extracting honey, this is where we have our meals and things. It's a family thing. And I get a shot of this board. This is things my grandchildren have written on there. And
I love it.
So basically, I can never use this board because I'm never going to erase that.
No, you would never want to. That's incredible. I love it.
These are ready to go here. So anyway, so this kitchen, of course, I've got all the right sinks, 3-bay sinks, the hand washing sinks, and all that stuff in there. So this would be, according to the guys that inspect, if I wanted to make jams, jellies, or chow.
Oh, you
whatever,
could. Okay,
I could do it in here, but there's only so much time we have. And
so, if you were making jams or jellies, would you be under a cottage law in Tennessee, or?
No, there is cottage law, but since I already have the facility, it would fall under my
Okay.
inspections
Oh, okay,
that they
okay.
already do. You were talking about the color of my local honey. This is the wildflower
Oh, yeah.
blend, which is not super dark, but
No.
it's darker than my local. And interesting fact, this table was made from a walnut tree that was out here when we were at my mother-in-law's house, and we sawed it, and then my son-in-law made this table.
That's beautiful. That is just beautiful. You know, there's something about walnut. It's like, just a beautiful wood.
And then where the garage door was,
Yeah.
this is my storage room.
Oh, it just keeps going. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, you can see there down this aisle, there's frames and top supers. These shelves behind this row are full of stuff.
So are you
covers and all, and then keep my quart jars down here, and then up top are boxes with my plastic containers
sure?
up high. So
You got an operation.
well, it's just nice to have everything. I may not know exactly where it is, but I know it's in here.
Yeah. Well, and I always preach consistency whenever I'm mentoring somebody.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever you do, have everything you have be consistent.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're going to get out in the field, you're going to need something to keep everything consistent.
Years ago, I had shallow and medium honey supers. That was never failed. We'd be extracting. I got people helping, family and friends or whoever. We'll have 8 or 10 people in here.
Yeah.
But then we got people coming in, don't take this wrong, but like yourself, that want to see how it's going.
Yeah.
Well, I can walk around and give them a demonstration and explain the process. And I'm not shutting down my production, by doing that. So I love having that. But they would inevitably put some shallow frames in a medium super. And then you had to dig through and find it later because you can't put the medium frame in a shallow.
You get what I call wonky cone.
I finally built,
Yeah.
I finally bit the bullet, and as a friend of mine, the older gentleman, I kind of mentored him to start with, and we worked together. But anyway, I said, if you want those shallow supers, you can have them. I just gave them all to him.
Yeah.
That's the only way I was ever going to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And if you find out, I've got equipment in here that I bought at a deal at a HAS meeting or somewhere like that, and now, they're half up, they're double in price now.
Yeah.
And one of my mentors, when I was I had bees for a few years before I just take a little off, or whatever. When I decided I maybe wanted to do a little bigger, he told me, he said, make sure you got plenty of stuff. He was talking about equipment. And
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
Okay, I'm doing my best.
So do you make your own equipment or you buy it complete?
I have made my own. I tell everybody that if they want to, they ought to do it, just to try it. But now it's like, I can't buy the material, clear material and all, and the time and all. I just buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I found an Amish guy that would go to the Amish country in Ohio a couple of times a year, and I wouldn't make a trip up there to get it, but every time I go, I buy stuff from him. He makes it, and it's about the cheapest price I've ever found anywhere. And so I would just get some things, and I do help beginners. I don't sell equipment, but somebody's really struggling, trying to figure out, they're wanting to get bees and all, and I say, okay, I'll help you. And whatever it costs me to replace, that's what I'm going to charge you, because I want you to, get a good start.
That's great.
And but that's the only time I would sell anything.
Although, so I do make a lot of my own stuff, but then again, I'm running, in the summer like 30 hives, so it keeps me off the streets in the winter. So, but I see something I like. And it's like, you know what? I got to buy one of those, and then it's like, okay, now I got to make 25 of them. But and I'm doing that now with a screened inner cover that I've got a few that I used. We were wet this year. Crazy wet. I was testing hives that were ready to go, and they're 19.5, running up around 20. And I'm trying to get them dry as much as I can on the on the hive before I have to come in and put them on top of put them in a drying room, which,
like
for me is tough because I don't have space for it. But found a screened inner cover that really helped move that air through and really helped. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to build about 30 of those just to have them.
But it's okay. I mean, you know, I'm not telling people not to do it. It just,
When you've got as
for
many
me,
hives as
I
you've
mean,
got,
you know,
it makes
I mean, I got
sense.
to a place I'm like, okay, I can buy a deep super for less than I sell a quart of honey for. I just buy them.
Yep.
And another thing happened, we'll look at here in the barn, I'll show you. When I went to single brood chambers, suddenly I had a whole pile of extra deep boxes.
I know, yeah.
So now all I do is just clean up those that are fine, you know,
Yeah.
they just, in the barn every winter, I'll clean up a few more, you know, and paint them. So I've not got into my cash,
Right.
you know, in a while.
So nice.
Yeah.
We're so hobbyists, right? Sort of, kind of.
You know, it's like, yeah, we're right on that edge of sideline and hobbyist.
I've had people ask me, would you do anything different if you build again? You know, and I didn't want it, I wanted to also look ahead at when I'm not able to do this, and I don't know that my kids will carry it on, and that's fine if they don't. I've had a good run at it, I've enjoyed it, I've met a lot of nice people through the years. But if I kept it more that something that could be converted easily to living space, you know, they could rent, put some bedrooms in and rent it or whatever.
Oh,
You
yeah,
got the bathroom,
yeah.
the kitchen, and that kind of stuff.
That's
But you know, it's just like this floor. People said, "How would you do anything different?" You know, I might not spend the money to do this. It's real nice. People, it makes an impression.
it makes an impression.
You know, on people. And I mean, I always want my food stuff to at least have an appearance that it's being handled in a clean environment, you know? Mm-hmm. But if you drop one drop of honey and step in it, you can see it. Yeah, of course you feel it too in your feet, yeah.
Well, but propolis could scrape off a little bit easier,
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, it's not porous.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that.
No, it's not porous. No,
Yeah.
it'll stand on top. And there's a slight bevel, a drop.
Yeah, you can kind of
to
see
the
that.
drain. And there's a drain in the hot room too. You can't see it now because it's covered up. It would not run up to the baseboard, I guess is what I'm saying.
So, and you're extracting on these, correct?
On that,
Because
what I've found is, of course, this sits on a piece of plywood and everything, because if you put it on cardboard, the casters go. But what happens is, if you get some unevenness, those casters will absorb. And I'm wondering now if I need to add the springs that Hilco's come out with. I don't know if you saw those.
I saw those.
I'm wondering now if I ought to add that on top of this. But I like the mobility of being able to move this around too.
Right.
You know, get it out of my way. Because at Thanksgiving, I roll all this stuff out. We sit up long tables and have our family get together here.
Oh, excellent.
We got kitchen, we got a bathroom, we got heat
Yeah.
and air, so yeah.
And I've done the exact same thing with my extractor. I call it my wobble stopper.
Yeah, right.
Because it works so great. And I always start out slow when I'm starting to extract so I don't get as much foam on the top. But I can get up to top speed so much faster with my wobble stopper.
Yeah. So I've got two. So we sit that long uncapping tank in my chain uncapper. It's a Maxent chain uncapper. I had some legs fab, made it tall enough it'll straddle that. So we load one and then we'll just keep going and load the next one. And generally we got 3 or 4 minutes between when one's through and we can go through a lot of honey here in a day's time.
I bet. And how many pounds are you pulling a year?
Well, a good year, 5,000 or 6,000.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of honey.
Yeah.
So, Charlie, I'd be curious. So, new beekeepers, I have a lot of new beekeepers that subscribe. If you had to pick 2 pieces of advice for a new beekeeper, what do you think would be maybe your top 2?
Preparation, which means a year before you get bees, go to your local beekeeper meetings. Find somebody that might let you go out and work with them so they can put hands on. Because the people that I've mentored through the years that did that have been more successful. And then second, learn. You got to be a lifelong learner to be a beekeeper.
Yep.
It's no more is it that simple. Do this, this, and this. I tell people this. I say I can tell you the mechanics of making a split or finding a queen or doing all that other kind of stuff, but I cannot tell you July the 15th put this medication on your colony and then do this and do this and do this and your bees will survive. Hopefully they will, but you know, there's so many variables. You know, you may have bought nukes that had subpar queens. So you do all these other things, but that queen, she plays out September. Starts laying drones or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
You're done.
Yeah. And a beginner, they don't catch that. They don't know what's going on. I went and did an inspection Saturday, and it's kind of a mess. Wonky comb, you mentioned that a while
Yeah.
ago. There was a lot of that in there. I told them, this is a symptom of you giving them too much space with a small amount of bees, because that's when they'll start doing that, you know. And I hope he learned something in going through. He's got a couple, 3 that may make it through the winter, so we'll see. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to help him all I can.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Charlie, I can't thank you enough. This is just amazing, and your knowledge. As I said, when I first saw you at HIS, it's like, this guy's got it together. And you know, and
That's very humbling.
well, and a lot of things you said, I left that meeting and I really changed a lot of things I did because of what I'd heard you talk about. And so far I've been pretty successful. So you've got you to thank for that. And again, as you said a few minutes ago, you learn. So Charlie, can't thank you enough. Much appreciated.
Very welcome. Nice to meet you.
And I know you got a football game to get to for your grandson, so I'm gonna let you go, but I'm gonna say thanks and happy beekeeping.
Thank you.
And as I always say, happy beekeeping. Nice to be liked, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you soon. Take care. Thanks.